But beyond that, it's once once I got out into those areas and hearing these people's testimony, it's like this tremendous responsibility to be able to present the information. It makes me very happy to see those people, all the people in the film, get to speak directly to you and try to get out of their way, even as a storyteller as I possibly can, with such a complex subject. Right here.
Yeah, you said with a lot of the farmers lease lands to natural gas companies. Mm-hmm. What is it done to stop what water is being used?
Well, the leasing in the East Coast is what's happening. In the West, there's what's called split estate, where people don't even own their mineral rights, and then the gas companies show up on their doorstep. Obviously, people are very concerned about what it would do to the future of, say, organic farming or any farming. And some of these tanks are out right in the middle of the production fields. This is something that Amy Ellsworth said, that you have cornfields, you have wheat fields, you have all this stuff, and the production's right in the middle of it. John Fenton, obviously concerned about what's going into the cows. There have been incidents where cows have died because they've drank out of those fracking ponds, and then those cows were butchered and sent off to market. So it's not. It's one of the major concerns when you're in Louisiana. There are advisories in all those water bodies not to eat the fish or not to eat too much of it because it has mercury in it. But mercury is the only thing that they test for, and the advisories are not actually on fishing licenses, or they're not in supermarkets. They're only posted where you go fishing. So Wilma Suber actually tried to get those warnings out further to the public, and the Food Administration there turned her down. So it's a big question right here. What happens if the Safe Drinking Water Act is reinstated through the FRAC Act? Nobody knows at this point. The industry is saying that they wouldn't be able to afford it. In fact, Exxon just purchased XTO, which is this big fracking gas extraction company from Texas. And in the deal, and it's something like a multiple million, 600 million, 300 billion, some huge deal. There's a clause in the deal that says Exxon can back out if the Safe Drinking Water Act is reinstated. So, and yet at the same time, I sat down. The only gas company that actually agreed to meet with us, we did it off camera, and I asked him, well, if it's safe, well, why, did the industry lobby so hard to get exempt from the Safe Drinking Water Act? He said, what are you talking about? And I said, well, the federal exemptions to the Safe Drinking Water Act? And he's like, no, I don't know what you mean. So, in the back there, yes? Yes. I mean, we're going to try to show it to as many members of Congress, senators, however many of those people we can. Yeah, over there, in the balcony, yes? You.
When you tell this documentary in the first person versus other documentaries where it's not in the first person, that allows you a whole different technique of telling the story. Can you talk about how that affects the way you do things?
Well, I actually set out to make like a 5-minute movie which demonstrated the process. And in making that 5 or 10 minute sort of explanation of it, I did the voiceover, and friends of mine were like, hey, that's a pretty good voiceover, and then I realized, that actually that was really part of this story, and, I reluctantly kind of went in there, but it was a choice that was not mine initially, but that it was the people who were looking at initial stuff that said, you should really do this, you should really be in this. And first it was as a concerned citizen, and then it was like, oh, I should really talk about this lease that I got. So it's weird because it was the last kind of consideration, but it really brought it all into focus. It was more a question of trying to figure out a way to explain these processes in a way that wasn't mind-numbing. Okay, here on the
gentleman who was not speaking for the EPA or worked for the EPA.
Yeah.
He's sort of on the battleground between progressives and Obama, and nobody knows exactly which way it's going to go, or maybe Obama becomes more progressive or not. Do you have any sense that he would take some action in the hierarchy of the EPA above him, or that he
Well, I don't know. Weston Wilson wrote his letter in 2005, and he actually he invoked the Whistleblower Protection Act, saying that because of this you can't fire me. And he did look into it with his lawyers, and he was there long enough that he could have retired if he was in real trouble. And he told me all of that stuff. In terms of the Obama administration, we don't know. There's great bipartisan support for natural gas. I mean, the FRAC Act, we don't really know how it's playing. There's not a lot of detailed information that a lot of people have about all of this. So we're hoping that something about the film can actually help that process along. But I don't honestly know where Obama is on this at the moment. In terms of the EPA, there's some really encouraging signs, though, that really need some cheerleading. Al Armendariz, the air quality researcher in the film, who was at SMU at the time, when I interviewed him, and he did that research on his own. He was a former consultant for natural gas industry, is now the head of EPA for Region 6. So he was appointed in October. That's Texas, I think it's Texas, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Louisiana, and New Mexico. It's a huge area. And so that's very encouraging, and Lisa Jackson and Maurice Hinchey have been in a conversation. But, you know, just like everywhere else, there's a debate happening, and certainly, oh, you know what? We have sign-up sheets. If anybody wants to sign up, if anybody wants more information, sign on a mailing list, find out how you can help that along if you're interested in it. We do have those sign-up sheets, right? Yes, okay. So I think there's because the lobbying is very, very strong, and the industry is very, very powerful. I think they're going to try to keep the FRAC Act down. Yeah. Okay.
What's your perspective on the media coverage of this issue of environmental issues now? Because I know the New York Times and other publications have written about the shale plays and also just environmentalism in general. How do you perceive it or view it now?
Well, I mean, the media has not done a lot of coverage on hydraulic fracturing when it was in the West. And I mean, there's a few things here and there. That's partially why I made the movie, because I couldn't find anything online. I couldn't find things in the media, that were adequate to explain it to me. And the major mainstream media, they're starting to understand it a little bit better. And you can see the tenor of the articles change over the last year and a half, and certainly in New York. But, there are editorials one day that say things like what's in the film, and there are editorials the next day that say natural gas is a terrific, clean burning product. So it's really, we're in the middle of it right now. And we'd like to have more reporting here.
What can all of us do about it?
Sign the list that was going around. Are they going around? I don't mean that in a cagey kind of a way. I mean that because, are they actually going out there? Well, just pass them around here, out here. Pass them around out here. Don't let it go in the back, if that's okay. Well, it's an email list, and I think it would be, this is an up to the moment kind of a thing, what you can do. Obviously, I could say write your congressman, and you should, or other people's congressmen, women. But there are a lot of organizations locally that you could help with, that need help. You can also just talk to people about what's happening, because I think there's a cultural tipping point here, thing that needs to happen. So all of those things, and if you do sign the sheets, we can give you updates, or you can check back in at the website that says, well, this is what's happening today, because there is something happening every single day in different places around the United States, whether that's on the East Coast or in the West. So that's the best answer I have right now. Also, GaslandTheMovie.com does have the list of all those organizations in different regions of the country. And we're just putting that up now, and we're hoping to have a website that actually can help make connections between the different states and connect people. Okay, here.
I work for the natural gas company, and I didn't know all this. I had no idea.
Right.
Other than the message that you put in the film, what message am I going to send tomorrow to my CEO?
Wow. You want to give us the address? Send it along.